Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Healthy Soul podcast. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple, or watching this on YouTube, I'm just so happy to have you here, and I'm excited for today's podcast episode. It's going to be a little bit different, and I'm actually going to share an exclusive clip and audio and video of our empowerment hours. So if you're unfamiliar with just our mentorship here at Healthy Soul Coaching Group, what we do, we work one-on-one with high-achieving women all around the world, and we really put a huge emphasis on empowerment as well. We want your health and fitness journey to feel aligned, to feel empowering, to feel like and fit seamlessly into your life. And so a huge part of that is collaboration within our group. Of course, we work one-on-one with you and your transformation mentor, but also the group aspect of it is so powerful because you get to connect with other high-achieving ladies just like you who are going through their own struggles, celebrating their own wins, lifting you up. And so our empowerment hours are group sessions that we do every other week. We also do accountability hours on the off weeks as well too, but the empowerment hours are really focused on building you up, helping you to address limiting beliefs or barriers, helping you to step into the highest level version of yourself personally and professionally. And so this session, I'm going to share one that we did in April of 2025. Our theme was renew, and each month we have a different theme within the community to help us just kind of shift our focus on just what that theme is to help us keep moving forward and growing. But I really think that this topic will hit home with a lot of you, especially the high achievers out there that are always busy, that love to work, that love to stack their schedules, but somehow still end up feeling unfulfilled and just drained. This is going to be a session designed to help you understand what's draining you, what actually feels aligned for you, how to really build a life that you love, that fuels you, so that you're not just staying busy, feeling drained, feeling unfulfilled. I'm excited for you to give it a listen. Let me know what you think, and let's get into it.
Appreciate you still showing up for today's session. It's going to be a good session. I'm very excited for this one. Should be pretty powerful. So we'll go ahead and dive in for tonight's session here with our empowerment hour. It's going to be all about being aligned and not just busy. And so this is just kind of keeping up with April's theme of renew. So just a quick reminder of what April's theme is. It's where we're really diving into ways to rejuvenate and refresh our mind, our body, our environment, and all of our routines. Hence why we're doing this little bingo challenge, just trying to refresh and to just make sure that we feel renewed. And so today we're going to really identify how to stop being so busy all the time and how to really start being aligned, because all of us here are busy in our own ways. We have work, we have our social lives, we have our family. Some of us have kids, and there's nothing wrong with having a packed schedule if it's full of things that are actually fueling you and that are actually helping you build the life that you want to build and become the version of you that you desire to become. And too often, we get stuck in this busyness of life where we just get drained from our everyday lives. There's just no fulfillment. There's not a lot of happiness. And we look back on our weeks and we ask ourselves, like, what did I even accomplish? So it's my goal with this session to really just put that cycle to an end, to help you identify what you feel like is misaligned in your life, and then how to replace just being busy with actually being intentional with our time. So before we dive in, I just kind of want to set the energy for the session. I want us to let go of the long day, of the pressures, of the tensions that are currently weighing on us. So maybe you did have a long, stressful day at work. Maybe you woke up feeling drained from the day before, from yesterday's pressures. Maybe you're in conflict with someone close to you, or I know, Emily, your kid's sick right now, and that adds a lot of tension. And I just kind of want you to let go of that. Same thing with the self-induced pressures that come up. Maybe there is some part of you that's questioning whether you're doing enough, telling you that you're behind in life, that you're behind in your journey, that you're failing. I don't want any of that energy to be in this session today. I want you to have a very clear mind, and I want you to go into this session and everything that I'm about to speak on with nothing weighing on you, so that you can be really ready to reconnect with the higher version of you who does desire more, who wants that purpose, who needs that peace, and who is ready to show up every single day. So we'll have a little bit of a journal prompt towards the end too. So if you have a pen, if you have a paper, I know Nicole, you're in the car too, just kind of to be prepared for that. But we'll go ahead and get started. So as we start to learn how to build a life that fuels us, we have to understand the true definition of alignment. Like, what does it really mean to be aligned? Because more often than not, we're making millions of choices every single week, right? We're creating habits, we're developing routines that are just not actually ours and that don't actually feel right for us. So, instead we're just seeing, okay, what is this person doing? Have we been influenced from our childhood? What do we think is right and the social acceptable thing to pursue? We're kind of making these choices based on these, but it's not aligned for you. They're just inherited, they're borrowed, they're influenced by others, but if it doesn't feel right for you, then it's not alignment. It's just performance. You're always performing, you're always putting on some type of show, and that performance, always being like acting like you're performing, like that's exhausting, and that's what leads to burnout and to just feeling so drained from a packed schedule. So when we think of alignment, we have to really be in tune with our wants, our needs, and our desires. So what really fills our cup? What really gives us joy? What really makes us feel successful and feel rich in life? And every single one of us has a different idea of alignment because of our unique qualities and our differing personalities. And that's what really makes this journey so cool. It's that you have the power to design your life in a way that feels best for you. So in order to accomplish this, you need to have ownership first and foremost. You have to own those needs. You have to own those wants and own those desires without guilt. And here's what I see happening quite a lot. You want to feel better and you want to do things differently, but you keep giving your power away. You don't have ownership. You say, I can't cook healthy because my kids or my partner doesn't eat that way, or I can't rest because there's too many things to do. I have to do laundry and I feel guilty when I slow down, or I can't change my routine because people around me won't understand. It won't really fit in with them. And so we let these things get in the way. We give power to other people and other things. But you weren't called to build a life around other people's comfort. You were called to create a life that does reflect you and the woman that you want to become. So this means that you have to take a very raw, deep, and honest look at how you're outsourcing your time, what your habits are, your current habits are, what decisions that you're making that aren't fitting your version of alignment, so that you can actually start to be intentional about how you're spending your time. And so therefore, you're no longer going to feel like you're performing. You're no longer chasing some balance that doesn't ever really exist. You're just actually living a life that you love every single day. That's really the goal of alignment. So as we start to let go of the things that are misaligned and really take ownership of our time, here are just a few things that keep us busy, but may not actually be serving you. So number one, and this one's a big one, it's just overscheduling. It's putting too much on your plate that doesn't fit your vision for your life. Honestly, most of the time, it's just for the sake of pleasing other people. Basically, you're just not protecting your peace or your boundaries and acknowledging that you actually need time for you too. And I've been guilty of this before, like just saying yes to way too many things, or just filling my weekends with too many events and not leaving enough time for me to actually recharge and to reconnect with my goals or to feel prepared for the week. We just get trapped in this overscheduling pattern where we don't know what feels aligned for us. We feel guilty too for saying no to things, and we just overschedule. And so the second being doing things out of guilt or out of pressure. So I'm going to put this in like an example format. So have you ever maybe been at a work event and everybody else, I've heard this one this week actually, and everybody else is drinking, so you feel weird for not drinking too. So you go get a drink because everybody else is getting a drink and you feel like you don't want to, be the outlier and, whatever, everybody else is doing it. Or if you're out with family and friends and everybody is ordering a bunch of appetizers for the table and they're all digging in and you didn't even really, want any, or you didn't plan to have any. You had your set meal, but everybody else is digging in. So you decide to just give in and forget about your goals for the day. Or maybe your husband asks if you want a little sweet treat and you really didn't want to get one today, but he sweet talks you into getting one. And again, you give in and it didn't even really hit the spot like it usually does. These are all examples of how we can fall into external pressures or do things because we feel guilty if we don't do things, again, just to please other people. We just feel easily influenced by our environment and by the people around us. And then the last one that keeps us busy and misaligned is just hustling without clarity. So this is when you feel so productive and you're just stacking your to-do lists and your projects that need to get done, and you're just filling your time with a bunch of these things, but you still end your days feeling exhausted and feeling overwhelmed. And ultimately, this comes down to just like knowing, what are you actually working towards? Were your big action items today actually aligned with your vision? Did they move the needle forward? Or were they just reacting to what's in front of you, or what's top of mind? So essentially just reacting to distractions. And I know for me, like I've had plenty of days where I was moving super, super fast, but I wasn't moving forward and I was just chasing results without any direction. And that kind of hustle is what's going to lead to burnout, because we think it's discipline and we think we're being productive, but we're actually just staying busy and we're keeping ourselves in the state of disconnection. So we need clarity and we need direction to our daily grind and hustle to actually achieve fulfillment and alignment. So this leads us to your new decision-making filter. So this will save you so much time, so much stress and energy on things that are just not right for you. So before you go and say yes to something, whether it's just a big commitment or an event, or it's a new routine, or it's something just as small as like adding in a new habit, I want you to ask yourself, first and foremost, are you doing this out of alignment? Meaning that this will allow you to move the needle forward, to move closer to the woman that you want to become? Or are you doing this out of obligation, just to perform or to say yes to please other people? Is this going to add negativity and stress, or is it going to add peace and fulfillment? So for example here, let's say that you get invited to a Sunday brunch with your besties and you know it's going to be full of delicious pastries and mimosas. You want to kind of ask yourself, like, how does this align with your life? So there's two perspectives here. One, maybe you do want deeper connections and you kind of feel a little disconnected from them. You love spending time with them. You love enjoying laughs with all of them. And you do really want to indulge in a strawberry pastry and get a nice expensive cup of coffee. You haven't had it in a while. So you do go and you don't indulge necessarily in the things that you don't actually want, but you grab the things that you actually do love. You enjoy the time with your friends. Everything is just hitting your desires, and overall, it just feels like a win-win. Or maybe on the flip side, you see these girls like twice a week. You haven't had a nice, relaxing weekend to yourself. You were planning on going to Sunday church and going on a long walk, having a podcast on, nourishing your body, which is a very simple breakfast, and you weren't really like craving any Sunday brunch or pastries. And you've connected with these ladies so much, so you feel good on that front, and you decide to say no. You want to stay aligned with what feels right for you rather than put yourself through the stress, which then you start to feel the guilt, and you're just trying to get through it. And instead of doing that, you just take the peace and you move on. So the same scenario can be interpreted again in two different ways. There is no right or wrong here. It's only what's right for you and how you want to feel in that moment. And asking yourself, am I doing this out of alignment, or am I doing this out of obligation? Is this going to bring me closer to the life that I want? All right, so we've called out the patterns. We've talked about where you're busy but not necessarily fulfilled, where you're giving your power away, where you're making decisions from pressure instead of peace. So now I kind of just want us to sit with it. I want you to get real with yourself and be as honest and as unfiltered as you can, and just take the next like five or so minutes and just reflect on these three things. So one being, what's one area of your life that feels out of alignment right now? Could be parts of your health habits, could be some relationships, your routine, how you're approaching your work, just kind of what area feels heavy or feels a little bit unfulfilling. And then second, what are you doing out of guilt or out of pressure? Not because it's serving you. So again, this could be, not setting proper boundaries. This could be skipping meals because work's getting in the way, or just like attending things that aren't really right for you. And then third being just kind of reflecting on that. What's one small shift that you want to make that would allow you to feel more peaceful and more aligned? And, I want you to just focus on one here because we don't need a huge overhaul. We just need an intentional choice that actually reflects where you're at right now. So I'm going to allow you guys to sit. I think we have enough people kind of at home that we should be good to sit and journal on this. And then even if you don't get to everything, just journal as much as you can. You can always come back to this later, but I'll just have us sit with it for a couple minutes, and then whoever's comfortable, we can go ahead and share. All right, well, we will go ahead and move on. And again, if you didn't get to everything, definitely come back and revisit these because they're going to be super powerful here. But I do want to just open the floor to anyone who does want to share. I know it's probably a little bit more deeper than usual, but I think that there is a lot of power in hearing someone else kind of just name the thing that maybe you've been struggling with. And there's a lot of healing too in knowing that you're not the only one who feels stuck and who feels like they're struggling. And don't feel like you have to spill your entire journal page that you just journaled, but would anybody who would like to start us off by sharing a realization in their misalignment and an intentional shift that they're gonna make this week?
So I think definitely for me, it falls within the social aspect of it, because I feel like when I'm by myself, I'm in control of a lot. And then my boyfriend is also very supportive of helping me. But it's when you have those outside factors that come into control that I feel like affects your performance and your goals. So one thing that came to mind when you said that is next week I'll be on a work trip where I am not free to make just I'm not the one in control of making food choices. It's all decided for me. So it's going to be hard to decide. And then also it's that long days. You're getting up early, you're with these people for a very lengthy time, you're sitting in a room all day in meetings. So my step count is going to be reduced. So I think it's just me going in there ahead of time and saying oh my gosh, my steps are going to be reduced. I'm going to have lack of sleep because it's going to be late nights also. There's usually more drinking involved because it's social. And it's I think the thinking through this, it's I can still go, but I think the shift for me will be to give myself almost an end time. I will go until this point, and then I'm okay walking away and going home because that aligns with what my goals are. So I can still get a decent sleep. I can still be up and alert for my work day. I could maybe have to get up earlier to try to get my steps in beforehand to make changes, but I'm going to need to have that sleep to be able to do all that. Whereas before, I think I would just stay out with everybody else because that's what the norm is. Whereas I think the change that I could do this time is to say okay, I can go out for this amount of time, but then I need to go home.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. And I think that that's so powerful too, because it's not like you're giving up on it altogether. You're still participating in the activities. You're just doing it in a different way and you're setting those clear boundaries. My sleep is my non-negotiable. I know that if I get good sleep, I'm gonna, like you said, wake up feeling more prepared and more fresh, get up early and get my steps in. I can still, focus on the things that do feel aligned for me and that do feel that I value, and not let these boundaries slip and feel like I'm just totally disregarding that just to do what everybody else is doing. So I think that's perfect. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit about it later too. I actually have a time management segment later on in this, kind of dive into that. So we'll save that for a little bit later. But this is actually what's bringing me into that. So really now it's time to really put all these things in action, because we can journal, we can reflect all day long, and that's good and great. But if we don't have a solid plan and we don't actually commit to living in alignment and put action behind that, we're just going to fall back into these unintentional habits and get stuck in a life full of busyness that, again, doesn't actually serve you. We're going to let these boundaries slip. And so that's where setting routines come into play. And so, of course, too, like with the help of your coach here, like we can help you revamp them and make sure that you're feeling fully aligned and obviously too headed, like strategically headed in the right path that is going to lead you to your long-term vision. But your everyday routines are going to keep you grounded and moving forward because, again, it's going to be habitual. These are routines, and it's just going to simplify all of this. And these routines should actually give you energy. They should be life-giving and not feel like a burden or like a chore. So, kind of ask yourself too, like, how are you spending your morning? Are you rolling out of bed? Are you snoozing with no joy for what you get to do today? Or are you actually getting up with clarity because you know exactly how you want to spend your day? And then we could even put this into like, your day of eating too. Are you going into your day of eating just fully blind and you're kind of letting the day happen to you? Or are you taking control as best as you can, taking control of the day and setting an intentional plan, whatever that might look like? Have meals prepped ahead of time, or even in Nicole's case too, for like work trips, just having a general idea of, balancing plates and being mindful and the non-negotiables around that as best as you can control. So these are all things that we really need to be thinking of to know, okay, what are our current routines? And again, what needs to shift to create a peace-fueled week and aligned routines and setting those boundaries and having those times dedicated to that. So here's what I recommend for honestly everybody here. This is what I do and I swear by it. And I think everybody can really make this work no matter your circumstances. So each weekend or when you have a couple days off work, I think most of us are Monday through Friday, but I want you to sit down with a journal, with a notebook, whatever you want, even your laptop too, if you would rather type it. And I want you to have that pulled up, and then I want you to pull up your choice of calendar. So some people love Google Calendar, which is me. I love my Google Calendar, or a planner, paper calendar, whatever you want to do. And then we're going to plan our week. So I want you to take that journal wherever you're taking notes and just brain dump what a peace-fueled week looks like. So what aligned actions do you actually need to take this week? What meals are you going to have? What workouts are you going to get done? What events are you going to say yes to? What work projects are you working on? And then also, how can you realign your mindset to actually crush this project and to bring really great energy? Also the self-care things and your post-work routine, your work routine, just brain dump everything as far as alignment goes and how you want your weeks to play out as far as your routines, your habits, your actions go. And then also kind of jot down too, like what's been holding you back? What are your current distractions that are holding you back from actually creating action and taking and moving forward? What barriers or limiting beliefs are kind of hidden there that we've just been pushing down? What pressures are you holding on to that's creating physical tension, mental tension within you? I want you to brain dump all of it so you can really just have a clean slate to work with and just release everything. And then at this point, you just have to be a little bit honest with yourself, or like the brain dump, you need to be honest with yourself about where you're at. And then once you do that, that's only then can you actually plan your week with clarity, with intention, and with alignment. So you'll then take your calendar, map out all the time blocks and the habits and the routines so that you do have some sort of plan in place to move in alignment and to create a life that fuels you. So if work starts at 8 and it ends at 6, those are your strict times. Obviously, this might move a little bit depending on, what's actually due, what you have done, what meetings you have. And that's why you take it day by day. And that's why you look at your week ahead of time and note that. And then you can kind of see, all right, well, I want to get these workouts in. This is when I'm going to do this. I want my morning routine to look like this. This is when I have to wake up to get my morning routine to move in alignment. This is what my post-work looks like. I have this event. You just are able to really map it all out so that you know when to take action and how to take action. So now that you've got your week that's all brain dumped, your planner's out, your goals and your time blocks are clear and scheduled. To make sure you stay alignment as the week unfold, or in alignment as the week unfolds, I would recommend using as well this simple tool that I really love to use, and it's called the 111 reset, because truthfully, things are not always going to go according to our weekly plan. Like, we can set out a perfect plan on Saturday, on Sunday, feel great about it, but at the same time, we do have to be flexible. We are going to have to move things around because life just doesn't always go like that. We're making adjustments based on the week, but that doesn't mean that we have to become too flexible to the point where we then procrastinate and we let things slide and we think, oh, it's not perfect, I'll just have a perfect day tomorrow. Like, that's never going to happen. So we need non-negotiables with the pre-mapped calendar. So when you have your calendar, you have everything mapped out, like this is what an ideal week would look like. You also then have to recognize, well, things are going to change. I need to be flexible. So writing down one thing to protect, ask yourself, what is something that you must protect this week to stay in alignment? So this could be your morning routine. If your mornings are the one thing that you have the most control over, then maybe that's something that you must protect no matter what. Could be your quiet time, your post-work walk, your journaling sessions, whatever it is, you have to make this your non-negotiable and you have to protect it no matter what does happen during the week, because things, again, are going to go not always be in your control. So you have to have your non-negotiable thing that you're protecting. Then you have one thing to simplify. So this just helps us to kind of, ask what's feeling a little bit more overcomplicated. What are we making? What are we overcomplicating things? What's heavy on us? What seems a little bit chaotic? What's kind of feeling a little bit difficult right now? And it could be your meals. It could be something related to work and your deadlines. It could be your mindset, your own, limiting beliefs, self-sabotage cycles kind of coming into play. So what can you declutter this week and make a little bit easier so that it actually gives you energy and it's not draining you energy and holding you back from working in alignment? And then the last thing is just one thing to prioritize. So what actually matters this week? Not just what's urgent, what's coming up, day to day, and you have to handle it now, like, oh, laundry's happening, I must prioritize that. I mean, laundry's always going to happen. So what's important for your peace, for your health, and for your vision? What is going to move the needle forward and move you closer to becoming the woman that you want to become? You have to prioritize that. So that's it. Just one thing to protect, one thing to simplify, and one thing to prioritize. And this is like your weekly reset ritual. It helps keep you anchored in alignment, even when life gets crazy and when your pre-planned calendar isn't actually working out. You at least have these 3 things that are going to get you closer to your goals and help you move in alignment. All right, so we've kind of talked through a lot today. It was a deep dive into like really bridging the gap between how you're currently living and how you want to be living. So tonight, again, what we've done is you've really identified what's draining you. You've defined what alignment means to you. You've made space for honesty, so you are real and honest with yourself. You've mapped out intentional routines, learned how to really bring this into your calendar and take action on it. And then now you have that reset, a really simple reset system that will anchor you when life isn't perfect. So I recommend too, if you still feel like maybe unclear on some of these that I just listed out, that you dive a little bit deeper and you go back to these journal prompts, visit the replay, and really sit with this even more to really understand yourself and what feels aligned for you. And as we finish out, I do want to leave you with a couple more things, a little more reminders. So we often feel like, again, we need to be more disciplined. We have to take on more responsibility. We have to add more to our plate to be more successful, to do better. And discipline is great. Responsibility is fun. And a packed schedule is fulfilling if you're moving from alignment. If you're not, then literally none of that is fun. So we have to stop looking at what everybody else is doing around us, and make decisions for what is right for our life and for our goals and for our vision. You need to give yourself permission to live a life that feels good, and without guilt. And you have to allow yourself to protect your time, your energy, and your joy, so that you can build a life that actually fuels you. So that's a wrap on tonight's session. Are there any questions on anything that I said? Any thoughts? Anything that kind of pops up?
I liked that 111. I hadn't heard that, but I really liked that. So thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, of course. And what we'll do as well too on this slide is when I post this replay in the group chat too, I'll have everybody just kind of think through what their 111 reset is. So, going into this weekend as well too, and into next week, we can really use these to ground ourselves and to start moving in alignment. So we'll be able to get everybody to share as well in the group so we can hold each other accountable there.